listening to you, when I've seen you do the rapid response, people line up at the microphone, ask you a question, and you deliver where that seems to be your element where you really thrive. I find a lot of the answers, and I mean no disrespect about this at all, simplistic. Do you think people overcomplicate business?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the great gifts I have, but it's also sometimes been a bane, is that I'm able to take very complex things and reduce them down to such elegant simplicity and such logic that people sometimes discount it because they're looking for this, this rock tectonic breakthrough. And when in fact, it's just, I mean, three ways to grow a business that I'm known for, simple. 9 drivers, simple. Preemptive marketing, simple. I mean, I could get, risk reversal, there's many gradients, simple. Allowable acquisition costs, simple. I mean, it's very simple stuff, but most people, they never thought about it that way before.
Do you think that also gets people to dismiss some of the advice because then they go seek out okay, it can't be that easy to fix my business. I got to go find the guy who has that magic pill or that really complex thing.
Yeah, I mean, the most hilarious thing in the world is I have 90 different methodologies I've pioneered or evolved over my career, of which 40 of them are the last 2 years, and yet the other 50 are still universal. They still work. I've transformed businesses just by one little shift using something that I was talking about 20 years ago. It might be a little different implication, but people want to hear, people want new drugs. It was hilarious, Jason. We used to do 3 and 5 day seminars. We'd sell them out, 1,000 people at a time, very expensive, did them every month. And I would teach people so many mechanisms that it was transactionally improbable, if not impossible, they would even do 10%. And you didn't have to. You do one thing if you're not doing any of them, and it can explode your business. You do the 3-way explode your business. You do a power parthon explode your business. I've seen changing an offer, changing risk reversal, double response. I've seen the right test before everyone had the algorithmic tests and all the automated ones, just manually do something and change your business. But I was always fascinated. I stopped doing seminars because I got tired of people wanting new drugs. We would teach them, let's call it 50 different categories. They would maybe do half-assed one, never do any more, never take the one to, if you take, for example, the 3 ways to grow a business, when we first introduced it, we had 35 or 40 elements that you could do within it. Most people didn't even do one of them.
Yeah.
We did the advanced 3 ways. Most people didn't do any of them. If they did any of them, they do it one way and one time, whereas you could keep doing it and iterating it. And I would get frustrated because when we would try to sell a repeat of the same thing, because I believe that you rinse and repeat, you iterate, you evolve, that things you didn't really appreciate become very powerful to you when you validate one predecessor of that. Because people would go, well, I already know all that. And we would say, oh, great. Tell me the last 30 or 40 tests that you've tried. Tell me some of the different risk reversals you've tried. Tell me some of the different endorsement strategies you've used. Tell me about some of the new front ends you've done. Tell me about 1 or 2 of the new back ends you've come up with. Tell me about some of the new packages you've used. Tell me, and I just go on, and they go, well, I haven't done any of those. But I don't have the energy. I know it. You don't want to know it. It's okay. It's all right.
And it's also funny because I think everyone chases the next tactic or latest hack versus the foundations of building a proper business, which is why I don't look at the new marketers now, right? The platforms have changed. I don't look at new marketers. I love studying the old stuff because I think you give David Ogilvy the internet now. He's not talking about iOS changes and algorithms, right? He's selling millions of dollars. He's like, what do you mean? I could get this out to everyone. Yeah. So I also what I find really interesting is when I watch you do those live, a lot of people say, okay, I heard you answer for his business, but what about my business? And your answer is the same. Do you think business is business, and we just minus some nuances, but like,
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll preempt and answer you. So this is not meant to be arrogant, but I have I've taught, applied, collaborated, or been validated on 5 continents with over 1,000 main industries and 7,000 sub-industries. I have probably, just so you know it, probably more, more tactical experts out there that have been influenced by the body of work. Everyone from Russell Brunson to the old copywriters. I mean, I've got a video montage of about 40. I don't even know all the current guys, but they all gave me testimonials because they were influenced by my bodies and work. And I'm not saying it. I mean, I'm an emissary from people that lived before me. It's, I was able, I'm like Tony. Tony Robbins, who I do stuff with. He's a great synthesizer. I'm just a very good synthesizer. I'm not an original thinker, but I'm an original synthesizer. I can take things that have been around from time immemorial, and they will be, and slice them, dice them, upgrade them. But they work. I mean, I had the #1 candy company in China. I had the #1 cosmetic surgery group that had 87 successful offices in Japan. I had the #1, what would we call it? It's content management software in Germany. I mean, it's universal. But if you don't believe it, there's that adage. If whatever you believe, you can conceive. If you think you're right or wrong, you're right. If you believe it's bullshit and it's old, and it's antiquated, and it's no longer viable, and you need to find a new drug, you're right. But the big to address an issue that I'm really very passionate about, I think there are a lot of very knowledgeable tacticians out there. You talked about tactics, but tactics should only be used to deploy a strategy. Most people are terribly poor strategists. Their strategy is tactic. They don't even have a good strategy. They don't have a good business model. It's very interesting. If we go into the level of whether it's recession or just downturn, it's going to be very interesting because most people don't have the agility. They don't have the comprehensive ability to really see the opportunities. I was asked for. I was asked for Tony's people to come up with some stratagems because Tony and I do a day together with his high-end, his platinum partners and his Lions, and that's where we line people up and do them against. We do them for 8-10 hours. People stand. Well, they can't do it virtually, but when they're live, we have 40 people at 2 different mics each, and it's hilarious. But they were saying, well, what do you do when the cost of when response is lower and the cost of the lead is higher and the conversion's lower? I said, well, first of all, you have to basically shift your priorities. You go quality over quantity. If you can't make the front end work, you better have a hell of a lot of back end. You better have a hell of a lot of packaging. You better change your business model. Because if you can't change the reality, you change your strategic response to it.
So you open this up. So I'm gonna go there. I wanted to kind of wrap up about talking about the economic downturn and a recession and what a plan kind of looks like. But I have to ask, you're working on something with Tony about the strategies of how do you thrive and take advantage of a recession?
Yeah.
You mind sharing some of those strategies here?
I can share a few. So, I've got 60. I wrote a book that we issued in 1991. I've lived through, I think, 8 or 9 downturns. By the way, I'll share with you towards the end some of the new projects I'm working on. Not going to benefit me, but I'll share some of the ideology and the methodology real quickly at the end of the montage. So, first of all, is what do you have to deal with in a down market? Well, there's 4 or 5 psychological things. You've got ambivalence, you've got uncertainty, you've got ambivalence, uncertainty, and apprehension. And uncertainty has different things than apprehension. Ambivalence is not believing anyone anymore. I mean, there's too many people saying the same thing and people don't believe them. Uncertainty has many gradients. It's uncertainty about where the future is going to be, uncertainty about where to make your commitment in dollars. Is this the right place to put it? Will I release it and never get it back and need it later? Uncertainty about whether I will do what is optimal if I make that commitment, whether it's information follow through, whether it's, if I want to buy, like I have a daughter that wants to buy a very expensive horse, very expensive, and she's contemplating getting it. But if she gets it, even though it'll give her joy, she'll be in debt. She'll have a lot of, and if anything goes wrong, it flips. So, and then the other is so there's ambivalence, apprehension. And apprehension is paralysis. So if you're marketing to all three of those, and there's other, I'm a little tired today, so bear with me. If you're marketing to all those, you better be able to show really compelling reasons why whatever you're selling and what you're offering now overcomes that, and it's more desirable, pragmatic, profitable, economic to do it now than in the future. And if you can't do that, that's one thing that's wrong. The next thing is what should you do? Well, the first thing you need to do is know the gradients of buyers. You need to know what different value buyers are worth. People don't understand that all buyers aren't worth the same. Maybe in online marketing they do now, but it's funny. I have a very, very large client who's the number one brand in the whole field in one category of cars worldwide, not in North America, worldwide. And when I met him, and I'm not a good online marketer, but I understand data and strategy better than most. And he said, wow, he said, we're so proud. We got our cost of a Facebook generated automobile sale down from $400 to $310. That's the first thing he said. And I said, well, I wouldn't be that excited. And he said, what do you mean? I said, did you correlate whether that cost you more than you saved? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, maybe you eliminated the ones that are the profit's 10,000 to keep the ones that the profit's 1,000. And people don't analyze anything in data. All buyers, all prospects, all sources, all responded to different positionings. They're not worth the same. They're all worth different. And if you don't have analysis of that, you either spend too much or too little. And I don't think most people realize allowable cost. Even today, I think, Jason, they either allocate an arbitrary amount or they allocate a percentage of last month's sales or quarterly sales. Whereas I was taught that you have an unlimited budget up to a certain amount. I was talking to a car dealer last night, a different one, and we were saying, all things being equal, today car dealers don't have inventory, but if you had an infinite amount of supply or capacity, and your normal business was X. So when you get past X, if you have infinite capacity or supply above that, anything you spend short of breaking even is profitable. And if you have a back end, it's a hell of a deal. We did Icy Hot years ago. People know the story that's followed me, but it was a mail order product when I did it. Now it's very popular in the United States. It's huge. But it was a mail order product that sold for $3. We bought an old company out of almost bankruptcy. We were going to close it. We found out that every time we got 10 new $3 buyers, mail order, 8 of them repurchased every month forever until they died or there was a cure for arthritis, which there wasn't. But that wasn't everything we found out. We found out that of the 8, 4 of them bought something else every time. We had other products in the line. That wasn't all. Of the 4, approximately 2 bought twice a year in bulk as gifts. And the bottom line was every time we got 10 $3 purchases, irrespective of the 2 that didn't buy ever again, we made $50 profit a year on those 10. And we were willing to lose 115% of the first sale to get that buyer because we made all this money on the back end. But as I got older, I realized that was stupid as hell. had we been willing to lose a lot more, we could have gotten a lot more because we did all kinds of performance deals. We had 1,000 radio stations, televisions, stations, magazines, newspapers, all running ads for us strictly on performance contingency, where we only paid them for results. We let them keep all the money, but we were short-sighted. We only gave them, if they sold a $3 bottle, we'd let them keep $3.45. We paid them more than they kept. But we could have spent, if our cash flow was good, we could have given them $49 for every $3 sale, and we still would have made $50 on every 10. I mean, we just didn't think clearly. But most people don't realize up to a certain acquisition cost, you have an unlimited budget. Most people don't think that way.
I also think there's the reverse also, right? Most people are too data driven and they don't focus on the rest of the marketing.